Queen Quet Marquetta L. Goodwine is a published author, computer scientist, lecturer, mathematician, historian, columnist, preservationist, environmental justice advocate, environmentalist, film consultant, and the artivist. She is the founder of the premier advocacy organization for the continuation of Gullah Geechee culture, the Gullah Geechee Sea Island Coalition. Queen Quet has not only provided histo-musical presentations throughout the world, but was also the first Gullah Geechee person to speak on behalf of her people before the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland. Queen Quet was one of the first of 7 inductees to the Gullah Geechee Nation Hall of Fame. She received the Anointed Spirit Award for her leadership and for being a visionary. In 2008, she was recorded at UNESCO headquarters in Paris, France at a United Nations conference in order to have the human rights story of the Gullah Geechee people archived for the United Nations. In 2009, she was invited by the Office of the High Commissioner of the United Nations to come and present before the newly founded Minority Forum as a representative of the Gullah Geechee Nation and the International Human Rights Association for American Minorities, which is an NGO in consultative status with the United Nations. Queen Quet is a directorate member for the International Human Rights Association for the American Minorities and for the International Commission on Human Rights. She represented these bodies and the Gullah Geechee Nation at the United Nations Forum on Minority Rights. Please join me, if you will, and stand and welcome Queen Quet.
Glad you got to do that, Chuck. Yeah, I went to the damn thing back there. Then you know, she just started to bring these old heavy things out. And so we were doing that in there. You go to the creek. What are you doing with that in the creek? A cat crab. I said, well, where? We need all that for. Big one box looking thing like that, issue. We ain't not catch no crab like that. I'm going to go home and lie like that issue. Tie that leaf in, fat back in there. And leave one little fat back in there. Leave one little fat back in there. And get it! Going along that short line. With your line and things like that. And when that comes from down, brother, knees up nice and slow. Get in, try it. Get the next one, let it go on down for that. Knees are nice and slow, get it, try it. And if you want, make sure you go move. Fill them up like this. And try to put that cuff on now. Hold on like this. You don't hold yourself that way, you can't hold money. If you won't hold that, you ain't going to want to hold money. I tell you now, have a most have a big old trial to get a beer. Never thought I could see this shit coming. Can't first get this family together and not the children one around because they ain't for dead anymore. Now I don't like that. I think it mess up and things like that. Why am I going to go on and what? Get a little something real back there. Oh, get him a pressure. You better drink up to it. Drink up. I want that. You know, brought up photo with it 4 minutes. Close that book down. You go swap up there. You ain't been going to be sitting up there. Half of me while you only down. Take this. Give you a little bit of honey. Take that. Take that. Well, God, somebody chill on that child receiver. So now you want to know. I think they're going to give you back there. But you know what, Jay? He's strong today. Sam, when we have all that thing there, strong today. These are children low. Brother! Can't stand up, can't sit up, can't get up, can't stand up, can't stand. What kind of people is? That's so great God with him. But then we look around by the line. See how sick they and take it up. I wonder if people look sick. Oh, the tree and take what was being created up. The Bronx. Oh, I know over in the March and thing. It looks so pretty. This your top of hair. It's still looking like a bandit of wood when it's up. It's so bad. But then the stuff with that one in there by the porch. The back of that. Yeah, all these people are put on, you know. All that chemical thing where people are put money grass and grass got be green in the winter time. God, like I said, grass ain't supposed to be green all the time. So I know why there are some people want to be green all the time. God ain't supposed to be green sometimes, brown sometimes, let them be brown sometimes. No, but this your chemical for time. That'll keep on green. Do the same thing in the store. Because they know you to eat with your armor. See, make them sooty. Me that they look bloody down all the time. No bloody all the time. That means that they not rock. You can't have home. Now sit there for a day and see what happens. All kind of leaf work and take it for all. That guy don't have such a thing. These women, they eat everything but they ain't on the hall. Yeah, they're trouble. Carry chicken and take right out the yard. Give the egg and take right out the cook. Now, people are saying, you get this yard if you eat too much of egg. You get this yard if you drink too much of milk. You get this yard if you do this. Well, what do you want me to do? That's not egg. Then you say the air pollution. What are we going to do then? So I said, Lord, what would happen now? That the children shouldn't understand. You know that all the people used to say and tell me, in the woods, it's 30 years. And if you do that for truth, when we've been a lead children, you know, you used to get down on a condition and watch all that thing go on. And then sometimes you see, you wonder, that's not for real like this. Rock. You get it? I said, what is it? Frog. But true? Yeah. And so, you gotta study what they do. You gotta see what it is. dance. Have a big old thing for top king. The Lord is yeah. You see where they're going with that? Going home. Put them away. Because they know that they're coming when they can't do that. You ain't gonna see that for top king. Then the next season come around again, then he coming out. So it'll make way for the next season when it comes. But we cracking one now? Tell them for campaign and put them away. Oh, I know where with that. I deal with them when I get that. Oh yeah? We'll make you think something will be there for you to deal with. That would have been a long way, you know. Meadows and take harvest of southern down there. Ain't no harvest no meadows when they cool. So if people in the harvest in meadows, harvest in okra, put them in each job. Put them right way. That's your down my area, y'all. You want some okra meadows and things like that? Now you just gonna swim. You're gonna carry that thing like that. Take the top off the floor and that. It's all gonna leave that. Time. But you ain't putting nothing in there. Guess what? When they got nothing. But see, we ain't gonna study about that. Innocent one, I get down. Okay, you get right to me and not look at it. Let them people think like that. Because everybody know everything like that. Shut up. Listen. You know, such a thing up here is to say, who is it? Come on. Terribly wrong. The last one. And sure enough, then one woman didn't tell me that. People 99 years old now. 102. Still a driver driving. She don't have a ticket, car, key, and all that. But it's still young. While there's people 25 years old that are like, I can't remember what you said 5 minutes ago. Will you can tell me? And they remember things 50 years ago. Remember what's going on now. Remember what's been going on then. And tell me if you slow down. Don't stand plenty. And now when it takes, sometimes you have to just take a little while to slow down. You know that thing when you're sitting in a hurry. You got a long time. But you sit a little while and carry. Put a heavy stitch. No, we're not going to the cricket thing like that. Sure, if you would have gone right to the cricket, sing a fish out the water, you would have sing what you want. But that ain't how you catch fish. You have to carry a water. You go out crabbing, you have to carry a water. You have to know processing. But that water, you would have bring it in big water because they want them fast. They don't catch no leave it. They want big one. Never think better than something. Drag on. Everything. Drag them on. Don't push throw back the lead. No, throw back the lead. You only got to have one. But then I started with that because we want everything so fast. Now when you did it, I thought, oh God, what you gonna do? You can't find nothing cooler now. Oh God, what you gonna do? You can't get no catfish. Oh God, what you gonna do? The crab thing ain't did it. Oh God, what you gonna do? The shrimp thing did it. Well, you crappy thing that people didn't do you like that, you would have stayed or you would have gone to. That creature didn't have more sense than we. Gone off, far away. Now you see, man, I wish it been you. That the same thing when we just said that they're all of people. Listen, daddy, mama, that did. You used to tell me so much a good day. You used to tell me, love me how to make things. You used to tell me how to slow down. You used to love me how to cook this young daddy. But you ain't no more get it then. But you ain't gonna sit down while you won't get in. You want to go run. Then what? Rock up. On up. You know Tom Brown, you supposed to be breathing. And then of course the season for your time. It's your time for your time. Because you want to water the good thing with the inside. So that will go on the trout chunk. That will come back. Now you try and care in love, in balance. That will come back. And that will live in the Lord. You study the hands. Study them. All that day. All them slow. put them there for the next client. They're put there for everybody to pay for the cow. Not just for the price. You see, when we gonna go out into that weather thing right now, now I want the things to go on there together. Early, more deadly. So let's start for a walk down the gun. Now, y'all make your breakfast and take for the children. Y'all do all that. They go in and put in water. And get them together and get out back in the house. Never wait until they run out. They're trying to pull them back up. What he said? They never miss the water till what? Last one. Seems like we're pretty dry now. I'm not telling what people wish they did it. They did it no more. Right up on the island today. All of them Jacksonville, North Carolina, Jacksonville, Florida, one of the guests is staying crackiness for one there anymore when you used to be there. But then they're not studying but when you put there where you been there. Or broke up with it. So depending on how people are crying in and they say, where God, let people let it cry people. I don't know. We don't understand that word. We say, well, if you don't understand us that way, maybe I need to talk to you like this. Because we've been trying to tell for eons. You don't put everything everywhere. There's a time and a place for everything. And there's a reason for everything. And there will be outcome to whatever choice you make. Whether it's going to be a good one or a bad one, you go find out. But wisdom would tell you not to try some things at all to find out. Well, you know what they said? Oh, those natives, they're just emotional. Really? So, when I studied engineering and mathematics and computer science, and they gave me a degree, they didn't give me a degree based on emotion. I didn't graduate with honors based on emotion. And all I had to do with one topic in particular, logic. And logic says, a sea island is not a place where you intend to build thousands of skyscraper-style buildings for a number of ecological reasons. If you need, let's use common sense, if you need to fill it in to build it, likely you shouldn't be building it. Let's make it like that. Let's keep it plain. Because whatever you build it on is already not solid. Water. It's wetland. So you could dry it? You ain't gonna dry it. Only God can dry it. Well, we're engineers. We're going to make it so that we can build it. All right. How is that? We're going to take the sand from here. We're going to move this sand over here. And we're going to pour it in here. And when the rain comes, it's going to happen to the sand. Well, we'll deal with it when it comes. Here we go. Common sense don't apply here. Engineering doesn't apply, obviously, to all these. Because a true engineer would say we don't build there at all. But instead, due to economic pressure, they'll build there because you'll pay them to build it. Not because sense or science said they should. They take the money and get out because they know when the building collapses, they won't be there. They'll be living somewhere close further inland where it was solid ground. And I said, well, we knew it would only last 20 years, 30 years. They have all that in their estimates, but they're not going to show it to you. They're just going to take the check and leave. Now, when it falls, where does it fall? We're on the coast. We're on the intercoastal waterway. Where does it go? Same place that sand went when the rain fell. Into the intercoastal water. Into the Atlantic Ocean. Into the creek. Into the estuary. And then when it gets there, somebody was living there. Christopher Columbus. Somebody was living there. And that somebody was named the shrimp. That somebody was named the blue crab. That somebody was named the shark. That somebody was named the white. Oh, that's right, y'all ain't eat yet. I need to stop calling out these names. But you don't think of them as somebody. So you ain't worried about that. You're in construction. You're not a fisherman. So you're not worried about that until you want to eat at a good seafood restaurant and you like some locally caught seafood. And when they tell you, well, we shipped this in from Maine yesterday. You looking at them like, well, why am I Georgetown eating stuff shipped in from Maine? Because we don't have any more here. We can't catch them. We can't harvest them from the water. Well, why is that? Somebody said they deal with it when they get to the impact of all of what we did on the earth, as if the earth is not connected to the water. I thought the earth consists of land and water, right? Somehow people say earth and act like that doesn't mean water and bodies of water. But those of us who live on islands can think of nothing else because we're constantly surrounded by water. On a day-to-day basis, our whole lives flow with the tide. We do things in accordance to what the tide is. People have aches and pain in their body in accordance with the tide and the change of the weather. Because our bodies are mostly what? Water. So if we slow down, tune in, there'd be so much you could learn about yourself by learning about them creatures that live in the water. Including them that'll get you one with crack and keep like this. So there's so many times that we've said to them, you don't need to come hunt for us only when you want somebody to make a basket. Okay? You don't need to come hunt for us when you just want somebody to sing and shout. You need to come hunt for us before you get ready to start building something else. Because we can tell you a little bit of something since we've been in this coast since around 1670 until now. I think we got a little bit collective consciousness that we are dealing with some consistent patterns that we could then tell you about the ecology and the liberal lay of the land. And how it doesn't lay so right when you start putting empowerments out for the next building. When you start putting in the next dock. When you start putting in the next pier. When you start putting in the next bridge. Because trust me, your impact is a lot. Whether they talk, quack, rock, or what, they're connected. The same way those waterways connect back up at some point. All you need to do, go on out there and travel a little while. Act like Gilligan and them, but that's don't stay there as long as they did. And then you start recognizing how when we look, all these maps around the room, if you look at them and then you look at your wrist, it looks very similar to veins, like how our estuaries and our creeks became the Geechee Nation. If you've ever had the chance to fly over, coming in for a landing, you then realize how true it is. These are literal sea islands. Some people think that's just a name for the area. I said, no. We live on real islands. We are separated by bridges or causeways, and that's what throws them off. You said city people cross a causeway, they didn't know they crossed from an island to another. Because they were still on a paved road as far as they were concerned. If you don't have a big old bridge like the Golden Gate or the Battlefield Bridge in Charleston, they don't know they reached another island. So what you mean no island? And what's the big deal? Why I can't do what I did in Chicago down here? What's the problem? Well, how about this? You know what else is an island too? But we don't think of it as one? Up north? Anybody got it? Up north. There we go. Right. The island of Manhattan that we now call New York, New York. Manhattan. The Big Apple. Anybody want to go casting? I lived in New York and I have yet to ever see somebody casting on the Hudson River. Because whatever they catch, I don't want none.
You don't want them?
The net probably burn up before they bring it back up anyway. But you see, when I mention that, people always act like y'all there. Oh, no, no. I don't want that. But how do you know that's not what you're eating? You don't know what you get in these restaurants now. You don't know what you get at the fish market if the head's off and then the skin's off. Right? They tell you this kind of fish. It could be some other kind of fish. It could not be fish at all. All this GMO stuff, you don't know what that is. But you eat with your eyes, so it looks pretty. That look tasty. Let me have some of those. Now, when you start with your left eye like this big now, and you don't know why, you go to the doctor, you don't know why. How come your left eye is big? Your left eye was like this before. Now your left eye is big. We don't know yet what that's called. We would call it left eye syndrome. But we don't know what it is yet. And then 10 years down the line, they said left eye syndrome is caused by this particular kind of fish that was being sold as another kind of fish because it wasn't real fish. So that's why you find people think Gullah Geechees are strange because there's some things we don't do. You hear us say we don't buy food from the seafood market. We catch it. I always tell people, don't tell me that I'm somewhere else and you got on the menu fresh fish. I remember I went to New York and they had fresh fish. I said, stop this lie. I said, because if this fish is fresh, I don't want none. And they looked at me like, what do you mean? I said, what do I mean? You caught that fish today? Or that fish was shipped here on ice from somewhere else. As soon as it hit ice and goes somewhere else, it is not fresh fish. Fresh fish to me, as an islander, is the gills are still moving. When he gets to my house, he in the bucket, doing the him. And I know exactly who brought him to my house. I know where creek he went from to my house. That's fresh fish. But now, some can't get fresh fish, like catfish. The same creek they always got it. Some cannot. You can go with a baby cash net like this and can't even get this much worth of shrimp. And creeks that we used to be able to pretty much bog and get. You see? So, we start wondering, what can be happening? And we start realizing people were steadily taking away and stripping the land of a lot of things that used to be there. That aren't there anymore, including the trees, clear-cutting them in areas where you had forests before, where you had your bush hog and your brush hog, where you could wind on John C. Kennedy like that 14 clean. That way you stop, you know. But these folks said, we don't need those trees. Take them all out. But then we'll go to the nursery and buy the trees that you just cut down. $500 a tree. Because instead of the way God had it planned, you want them equidistant. So I want one tree here, the next tree must be 8 feet, the next tree must be 8 feet, right? Same trees. You cut them down and pay for somebody to put them back. Then you leave your house wide open in a hurricane zone to wind, to more salt water just on a regular old day that's on the breeze. You wonder why you got to paint your house every single year now. But the elders knew better. They never built right on the shore. We got a song that I'm going to build right on that shore, but we don't need to do it. Okay? We always build more inland, away from the water. We believe the water bring the water will take you back. The water is a spiritual place for us. You go there when it is time to be nourished. You don't go to the water to play. You don't go to the water to stay until it's your final resting day. We bury them on sacred ground. We also go to the water to get the food, to baptize. things like that, and we go back inland. So hence, when we said to people, there are numerous reasons why you shouldn't do these things along the shore, they said, you natives are just emotional. There's nothing in my emotion nor my Gullah Geechee vocabulary that describes the word sinkhole. That's an English word I learned. But that's sure what happened when they built the Cross-Island Expressway on a place I heard y'all discussing, Hilton Head. When we said to them not to do it, they said, we need to do this because of the traffic we have coming over for the golf program. Okay, we'll see what happens. Built it and had to shut it back down. I said, oh really? Pray tell, why? There's a sinkhole. Is that so? But when I explained based on engineering and what I was looking at, I didn't think that you could sustain that right there. You told me it was all emotion that I was talking, not science. But my people have gathered together as scientists and community engineers since we were in the motherland. We still live in our family compounds on the sea islands. We work together. We have to figure out what can be sustained and what is sustainable. Now y'all got a whole industry about sustainability. But when we talk about things being sustainable, we talk about putting something there that'll be there for the generations to come. But folks say, well, maybe that ain't my business to concern myself with the next generation. Let them deal with it when they get to it. But for us, it's not about when you get to it. Because the blue, the green here, is the water and the land. For us as Gullah Geechee, they are inextricably tied together at all times. We are inextricably tied to the land. That's why you see even on the Gullah Geechee Nation national flag, what's in the middle of it? What's that in the middle? Y'all act like this is a complicated matter. I mean, nursery school children would have given me the answer by now. What's that in the middle? Is that simple? It's a tree, right? Thanks. Wow! Maybe I'm in the wrong room. Is this environmental? Oh, okay. No, I'm in the wrong room here. I'm in the wrong building. I go back out the road and go around the other side. They can't tell me what a tree is. It's a tree. It's not that intense. Take it easy. This tree happens to be human bodies intertwined. And they represent the Igbo, Mandinka, Malinke, Gullah, Geechee, Meni, Temi, Ifiki, Ibibio, and other African ethnic groups that make up Gullah Geechee culture and heritage. Our ancestors that were the ones that changed this coastline that people refer to as the Gullah Geechee Coast. They refer to it as the Gullah Geechee Nation. They refer to it as the Low Country. They refer to it as the Sea Islands. Y'all know we got all these names for all the same place. Okay, that they refer to. They changed this to a cultural landscape by harvesting what this county became world-renowned for. What was the biggest cash crop that came out of this county we're in right now? Rice. It was rice. You know what kind? Boom, you got it. I was going to say, I was about to get my order. Carolina rolled rice. By the tons during chattel enslavement left Georgetown County and went around the world. The second one was in other counties, right? What kind of cotton? White. White, but what's the name? What's the same name as these islands? Somebody said it. There you go. Sea Island. Low Country is the name of the island. They use the Low Country really for the mainland portion of this area because we are technically below sea level. Alright? So, here it is, Sea Island cotton, long staple Sea Island cotton, Carolina gold rice, and the blue represents what? What's that third cash crop? There we go. Indigo. there when they do that, or St. Helena Island. And then indigo is so hard to get to grow. And once you find the right soil and the topography for it, and it starts to grow, then it takes over. It will just go out of control and take over mass areas. Sort of like how all these trunk minders have grown all along 17 up in this area, right? So now here it is that things are left to naturally grow in the right soil. They'll continue to grow in abundance. But always is one of us smart other human beings who feel we can one-up God. I'm going to improve on it. And don't look at the outcome. You take this from here and put it over there where it never used to be. Something's going on a balance over there. And you just put a hole over here where there was something. So there's going to be a shift. You see? People call it climate change now, right? So we're seeing shifts and changes that no one thought was going to happen. But I'm sure our African ancestors never thought enslavement was going to happen either. But it did. And they had to fight their way out. They had to stand up and make a difference and make a change so that things would be better. So when we talk about now, and all of you participating in a forum like this, talking about environmental justice, you have to be willing to shift some things. You have to be willing to take stands on some issues. Because everybody ain't going to agree with you that you should even be dealing with it. They ain't going to tell you, that's not a problem. Let the next generation deal with it. There's money in this right now. Right? Anybody heard that before?
Yep.
Okay. They're going to try to buy you off and tell you, you don't have to be the community person no more. We can change you from the community person to the advisor of the such and such, so and so. We buy you a car and give you $50. But where do I report to work? You ain't never got to report in nowhere. Especially not to no more public hearing. Okay? And put you off to the side. This is what happens. Where people don't want you to deal with things that they think is going to be economically empowering to them as individuals. But again, when you're there on that same land, suffering from illness and disease and disorder and disruption, they have moved to higher ground and left you to deal with it when you got it. And now it's here. People always looked at this zone as the hurricane zone, and I had friends in New York. I'll never live down there where you live because they all got hurricanes all the time. And when that hurricane started heading to New York, and I called up there and I said, y'all better get ready. New York is typical. Oh, it's not going to really come. I said, guess what? You want to listen to me, who lived through several hurricanes, and get ready in case it comes? Or you want to keep your New York City attitude and then you want to deal with it when it gets there, when you might not be alive to deal with nothing else? When the store's shut in New York, don't try to find me after the lights come back on, talking about you were right. Okay, hold on, let me get a pen. As I thought you would. Wrote down all what I said. You're going to need this, you're going to need this, you're going to need this, and you're going to need this. Because unlike a lot of Southerners, folks in the city don't have no pantries. A lot of times their cabinets don't have much in there. So you're going to need all these things to keep inside, in case. And when the city that never sleeps went to sleep, for those few days, did my phone ring and said, I'm so glad you called. I'm so glad I knew what to do, because I never thought this would happen. I said, I don't think any of us would prefer that any of this is happening. But what do we want to do? So you can be part of the problem, part of the solution. So it becomes a thing for me that the only way I can deal with solutions is making sure we all are communicating. That's why I'm articulating things in this manner, because it seems that when I speak Gullah to this audience, they do not communicate back. Are you okay this way? ¿Qué pasa? ¿Cómo estás? All right, you're better this way. This is good? It's working. So now, when I heard this topic, cultural competency, I said, ooh, that would take a year. We can't do that in an hour. I said, but they're talking about environmental justice. So first I want to deal with this word justice. Because in the black community, we say that's just us. That's what justice amounts to us. It's just us. It's not justice. Okay? But I want to take you on a journey and a different way of looking at this word. And justice, being J for journey, U for understanding, S for spiritual, T for truths, I for in, C for cultural, and E for engagement. We're going to do it again because some students weren't ready and they started grabbing their pen and their paper after the effect. I had called myself giving y'all prep time and I told y'all, and y'all saw me pull out the iPad. But y'all want to treat me like y'all treat the pastor, but the pastor tried to get you to write down the part that he going to preach from, but you could study to show yourself approval. Y'all want to treat me like pastor, y'all don't want to write nothing. But go on and put it in your phone, put it in your iPad. We're going to do this again. J is for journey, U is for understanding, S is for spiritual, T is for truths, I is for in, C is for cultural, and E is for engagement. Because there's no way to talk about cultural competency if you don't even engage with the people who are of the particular culture, the community you're going into. Now, the thing that bothers most indigenous communities, like the Gullah Geechee Nation, is the fact that groups of people just call themselves having a culture, like corporate culture. I'm like, what is corporate culture? Y'all ain't kidding each other. Y'all don't have no culture. But they mean behavioral patterns amongst themselves and what they think is apropos for the particular situation. So I said, very interesting. Because in my community, we would look at it that way. Our culture would be about the way in which our ancestors brought us up and the way in which our community continues to live. And as you go anywhere else into another place, they would also have a culture of the people who were born and raised there. You see? So for us, you come in respecting that. That's your first entry point. When you start talking about cultural competency, you have to start with engagement. But let's talk about justice first and how it's defined in the American world. Just behavior or treatment. Just behavior or treatment. So again, how do you behave in the environment that you're in? Is it appropriate? How do you treat that environment? That's going to make all the difference in the world, right? So if you throw trash out your window, for instance, and you drive down the highway, you think that's just behavior? No, not in any environment, right? So we got to think about that. Are you throwing out spiritual trash the way you talk about that community either? Okay? Think about that. Quality of being fair and reasonable. What's fair to you, somebody else might not think is fair to them. Because their culture doesn't engage in the same way you do. Prime example, Gullah Geechees are often referred to as land rich and cash poor. Because the first value to us is having God, then having family, and then having land to live on and having it for your family. Then money. But when you flip us around in Western society, money comes before almost all the rest of it. So you may think it's fair to come to this man and say, look here, I need this piece of property from you, I'm going to give you $50,000. You may think it's fair. He may go get his shotgun. Okay? Because he's in something that you even would dare come ask him for that. When his family's blood, sweat, and tears is literally in that land. So again, fairness is a matter of your perspective based on your culture. Don't assume what you think is fair to the other person. Okay? So now, the administration of law or authority and maintaining this. So we have laws because people do right. Let's just put it away. That's why you have law. Because somebody didn't think something was fair, and you now need a mediator to say, okay, hold it, let me hear both sides, and let's meet in the middle. That's what laws are really supposed to be about. But they're only as good as having someone enforce them. Because all of us know if we don't see the blue light special, we're going to go over the speed limit. Okay, if you go 1 mile over, you going. Some of y'all drive 25 miles over all the time. You say, get it. That's right. I finally got an amen out of him. He was smiling, but he spoke up loud and I like it. Okay? And then the person that usually does that is a judge. They also call him what? A justice.
Your Honor.
Okay? Your Honor. Right, Your Honor. I know myself on the mercy of the court. You know about it, but they're taking it right in front of me. I know that's right. So when we talk about now justice in the context of what we're all here saying we fight for, that we want to do better, that we want to work with one another on in South Carolina, we talk about environmental. So let me look at what they say that means. Related to the natural world and the impact of human activity on its condition. All of what I've been talking about. What has our impact done to the condition of the natural world that we live in? All right? Are we just in our behavior? We need to each ask that individually. Okay? Then we can start talking to other people about what they are. And then relating to or arising from a person's surroundings. So for me, my surroundings are this coast, these sea islands. And then it becomes a matter of just like the scales of justice, keeping it in balance. And then how do we do it? So when we start talking about cultural competency, you have to then be willing to know you're not right. You have to then be willing to know that because you did this all your life, doesn't mean I did that all my life. Because we're not from the same place. Ladies, y'all know how you treat your brothers, the men, right? Just do it because I said to do it this way. Right? She's an honest woman. Her husband must be here because she's trying not to move. She's just trying not to move.
I'm still single, God.
Oh, you're single. That's why. Okay. You didn't get one to tell you. All right, that's why. She's sitting there like, I'm taking notes. There you go. So, like she said, yeah, we do that. Right? And the men go begrudgingly and may or may not do it. They do it in their own time, though. And then they'll say, I don't know why I got to do it like she said. I can do it this way. Right? Oh, he said, I'm not old enough. He said, I'm not old enough yet to know about that. But now here it is that we have to be willing to know everybody's not alike, but that doesn't mean everybody with you in the world is wrong either. We have to be willing to engage with one another and find out why is something important to you for it to be done the way you're describing, and vice versa. That is the way we have been able to negotiate things, to try to get some balance, some semblance of order with overgrowth, over-destructionment that many of y'all call overdevelopment on this coast. It's starting to educate people who are moving in from places like the island of Manhasset to the sea islands thinking, well, I need a Starbucks on every corner. Oh, y'all don't have corners because you got dirt roads. So we need to first cave it and make it a corner, and then we need to put the Starbucks. And we're like, no, if you want coffee, you need to make that your house. You need to go and get yourself a coffee maker and drive across 2 bridges to that store, get yourself a coffee maker and take it back to your house that you don't need to pay sign. Not over here. Because when the rain falls and all of the earth is paved, what's going to happen? Well, I heard a few things. What? Runoff. That's what you said too, right? Did you say something different than that?
The water's going to rise.
The water's going to rise. You're lucky if it runs off, right? Because asphalt, like this pastor said at one time in Beaufort County Council, asphalt don't leak. So where will the water go? Right? So it might run off. We hope it would, but it may not. But we know it's going to rise. So now what do you do? So now it's a matter of educating people who just may not have known about the culture of your environment, how to do things there. So it's a matter of being willing to teach and being willing to learn. Not thinking your way is the only way to do it. And now going on a vendetta against every group of people who have a differing opinion than yours. Instead, why not try to come together and see how you could collaborate on educating one another about the things that you have in common that are the most important, that will be long-term beneficial to the overall community for generations to come. That to us as Gullah Geechees is what's sustainable, and that's what's respectful. when you start talking about cultural engagement and cultural competency, the biggest way to shut it down is to be found disrespectful of somebody else's cultural community. Because they have no more words for you. They ain't gonna talk no more. Down south, we are the greatest purveyors of Southern hospitality. So we will see you and we will nod. We will see you and we might wave. But through our teeth, that echo, I hope she don't come over here. Because I know I don't want to be longer. All right now. Pray for me. That's all. Don't let it come this way on. Right? Mm-hmm. Are we just there? Yes, we are. And bless her heart. Bless her heart! Bless her heart. Yes. We do all that to keep inside what we do like to say. But that ain't gonna happen now. Your high blood pressure, that ain't going to the doctor or something and all that. You don't need all that. But if we were communicating, then we could explain to one another what's going on. And that means opening a dialogue. So, I'm going to do that right now. Tell me what part of South Carolina you live in. Let me hear it. Aiken. Columbia.
Greenville.
Greenville. Hudson. Johnsonville. Walterboro. What? Okay, great one. I should catch right. Darlington. Florence. I think I heard you up in here. Pittsfield. Charleston. Rock Hill. I just rode through there.
I live in Columbia.
You live in Columbia, but from?
Not anywhere south.
Not in South Carolina. Where's
Birds.
Birds, okay. Oh, and back there? Columbia. Not Bull Street, though.
Not
Columbia.
I'm from Pontiac.
Pontiac.
I grew up in England, but I'm in Columbia now.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so now, we know that what I'm talking about with Southern hospitality, I don't have to explain. But now, what have you seen as an issue with cultural competency or community engagement in your communities in South Carolina? Anybody had any particular thing that you thought was a pressing issue about that? Like how to go about it or obstacles you face?
I'll quote the person I spoke with in the phone, who's also not from South Carolina. And his comment was, "This is the most divided place I've ever lived in my life."
Is that right?
Yes. And he's right.
Interesting. And did he elaborate on the divisions he saw?
We began to, but we had other things to talk about. But we do understand.
Yes. And now, that's a very interesting statement because my son recently said to me, so, are we the only people living in a state that also divided itself? I said, you mean the Carolinas? He said, yeah. I said, I think so. Because I don't think North and South Dakota were ever one Dakota, right? So just North, they were?
Virginia, West Virginia.
Oh yes, Virginia, West Virginia. Okay, right. They were one and then split. But North Carolina, South Carolina, so we talk about division, we can go all the way back to that, right?
My people from eastern North Carolina, we understand why we divided.
See? And so once again, the same way he said that, that's the way Seattle feel about the rest of mainland South Carolina. Like we're kind of glad we got a few creeks and rivers and things. So I agree. Geographically, mentally, culturally, we are divided. But now the thing is, because of climate issues, community issues, environmental issues, can we afford to remain divided?
Only as long as they will be able to keep making money at it.
Right. We're back to that.
Yeah.
The money. Not so much an issue now. Right? They would capitalize on unity if that made them more money than division. You see? So we have to be the ones that are a living example of how unity benefits South Carolina. How it benefits the entire state. As opposed to being regional and being county-based and sectional and cultural divides that go on. But we can only do that if we start to respect the true history of South Carolina. One of the biggest divisions is that people want to discuss the true history of South Carolina. That there are Southerners and Civil War, how divided South Carolina still really, really is based on the Civil War. All right? And how some want to return to that time. No ma'am and no sir. It ain't going to happen. Because many of us are not going to stand for it and not going to participate.
That's the problem sometimes. The problem sometimes is that people get stuck looking past as opposed to trying to figure out a way forward in the future.
Exactly.
What's that supposed to look like? It's not going to look like what it looked like in the past.
Exactly.
What's it going to look like in the future? And how do we get there together?
Together. That's your key word. How do we get there together? Which again comes into cultural engagement. Because we can't get there together if you're constantly telling me, I got to do it your way. It's not going to happen. The nicest person is going, even if they're passive aggressive or whatever, they may not be vocal, they're going to find a way not to do it your way. Just as you said, it has to be my way. My way or the highway. They're going to find a way to blow up your bridge on that highway. You see what I'm saying? Wherein if you value everyone's input, you could build so much more. That's why it's so critical, our flag, because we would have Gullah culture as it is today had not all those different African ethnic groups who were from different countries, spoke different languages, and had different traditions, found a way to come together to try to put forward a future here in a land that was never theirs.
Mm-hmm.